Hello everyone. Tonight you are going to be watching a screen capture of how to fill out a character trait recording form based on the novel we are reading in class, Peter Pan. Our directions say, read each passage taken from the novel Peter Pan. Identify the character trait that can describe the character based on the passage and write the word in the table. Write your reason why you think this character trait can describe the character under evidence. Tomorrow, you will be filling out the same recording form sheet, but it will have different passages from Peter Pan on it. By working on these two worksheets, this will help us complete our end project of creating a Google Slides on the different characters in our novel. So, let's look at number 1. For number 1, I'm going to pay attention to how the character feels in this passage. Number 1 says, he was frustrated and jealous about other people doing better in the stock market and about the children loving Nana so very much, possibly more than him. This passage is describing the character Mr. Darling. Remember, when we're dealing with how the character feels, the character needs to have these feelings throughout the novel for it to fit under a character trait. In this passage, we can say that Mr. Darling is jealous. How do I know that Mr. Darling is jealous? I know he is jealous because he is jealous about people doing better in the stock market. That does not make him happy. And he's jealous that his children love Nana so very much, possibly more than him. So I'm going to write brief notes to myself. He is jealous of other people doing better at his job. More evidence is he is jealous of his children loving Nana more than him. Let's go down to number 2. With the number 2, I'm going to focus on paying attention to what the character says. So this passage says, George, Mrs. Darling whispered, remember what I told you about the boy. What if he comes back and Nana's not here to guard the children? So in this story, Mrs. Darling is talking to her husband. And throughout the novel, we see how Mrs. Darling always says things that point out that she is worried about Peter Pan coming to see her children. In this character trait, I'm going to write that Mrs. Darling is worried. My evidence is that she says all the time, what if he comes back and Nana's not here to guard the children? So I'm going to write that. Again, I was focusing on what Mrs. Darling says. For number 3, I'm going to be focusing on what the character does, the character's actions. So this passage says, suddenly Wendy screamed. It felt as if someone had pulled her hair. That must be Tink, Peter explained. She certainly is being naughty today. This passage is talking about Tinkerbell. Character trait, I'm going to say mean. My evidence, Tinkerbell pulls Wendy's hair. Remember, when we are figuring out character traits, we're looking at how characters feel throughout the novel, what the character says, and what the character does. Tomorrow you will be filling out a worksheet that is very similar to this. It will have different passages from Peter Pan, and you will have to identify the character trait describing the character and your evidence to support your claim. Now you can use direct quotes and you can paraphrase as well. I hope you enjoyed watching this video tonight, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow in class.